crypto is going to play a big role. Digitization of currency, digitization of everything we're doing. I'm a big believer, and this is one thing that will change Bloomberg even. I believe we're going to be in the cutting edge of tokenizing bonds and stocks. And we have the technology now. The fact that we are now moving forward in tokenization, every bond and stock, is crazy. We should be moving towards that frontier. Obviously, there's winners and losers and all that, but we need to be prepared for the tokenization. And it would democratize more finance if we tokenize bonds and stocks.
Hey, what's going up, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. Imagine this today. You're sitting on the edge of your seat, watching the crypto market twist and turn like a roller coaster that you can't get off of. One moment, prices soar, your heart races. The next, uncertainty creeps in, whispering doubts in your ear. What's happening out there? Why does it feel like the rules keep changing? Today, the crypto world is buzzing with mysteries unfolding before your eyes. Big wins, hidden signals, and questions that could change everything. Ripple just scored a massive victory against the SEC, but wait, why isn't everything clear yet? XRP and Cardano investors are hearing whispers of good news, and a top analyst is pointing to a chart screaming buy. But here's the problem. The market's moving fast. Blink and you might miss it. The solution, stick with me for the next few minutes and we're going to unravel all of these headlines step by step in plain English. You'll walk away knowing exactly what's driving the buzz and why it matters to you. There's an urgency here. These shifts could spark the next big move and you don't want to be left guessing. Plus, hang with me till the end. I've got a bonus for you. We're going to go over a sneak peek of our Altcoin Pro University, where everyday people like you are crushing it in crypto. And if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend these hours in the charts and in the news every single day like we do on this channel, no problem. Make sure you subscribe today. And if you're feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777 down below. And today we're going to be jumping over to X to find out all the breaking news that's happening in the crypto world today. We'll do a deeper dive into good news for Ripple and Cardano investors. We'll go over more information on Ripple celebrating the SEC dropping appeal, but crypto rules still not set. And the XRP chart is showing a buy signal, this top analyst shows us. We will also jump into the XRP charts at the end of this video and find our next major support and resistance levels that we must break this week. And we'll dive into our short-term momentum waves and long-term momentum waves. Are there still bullish signs in this market? But first, as always, let's take a look at the overall health of the crypto market today at CoinMarketCap. The total market cap is coming in at $2.76 billion with an abysmal $43 billion worth of volume. Nothing is happening in the market today. And remember, we are waiting patiently until we break back above that $3 trillion mark to get some confidence back into the bull run resuming. Fear and Greed Index coming in at 27 today. It is slowly starting to move its way to the upside from its previous local lows here at 19, even getting as low as 15 on March 10th. Last week, it was a 22. Yesterday was a 27. Today, coming in at 27 as well. Altcoin season flatlining at 21. Last week was an 18. Yesterday, at 21. Today, at 21 also. So it does seem like it wants to start moving up towards altcoin season. And some potentially very, very important news coming into the cryptocurrency ETF tracker. As you know, I've been following this very closely for weeks now, and we finally had a week that ended up in the positive. In fact, if we take a look here, March 20th was up plus $64 million. But even better, let's take a look at Bitcoin alone. We got $83 million on the 20th. We had $166 million on the 19th. We were very small above the plus sign, only $11 million on the 18th. And then we had $200 million on the 17th. And we had $156 million on the 16th. So last week, we had positive days to the upside, institutional money buying back Bitcoin. And as we take a look here on this chart over the last year, if you remember, we started seeing some really great momentum coming into the markets and Bitcoin started to pump. In November, we started to see the ETF sell off in December and also, of course, price declining. Then we had extreme amounts of selling off to the downside when we've had this drop. But this is our first week to the upside, looking very positive, $627 million to the upside. Now, next week is going to be the most telling week because if we can get 2 consecutive weeks in a row to the upside, we're really starting to build some momentum. Top 5 trending coins according to CoinMarketCap today. Number 1 is Auction. Number 2, Beam. Number 3, ARPA. Number 4, Wing. And number 5, NPC. Top 5 cryptos by total market cap. Bitcoin coming in at 1.6 trillion. Ethereum number 2 at 241 billion. Tether coming in, taking that number 3 spot away from XRP again, currently at 143 billion. XRP number 4 at 138 billion. BNB at 89 billion. And wrapping it up, 6 Solana at 66 billion. Heading over to X, one of the best memes I've seen in quite some time. Kraken Exchange putting it together. Wait, hold up. BTC white paper spotted at the White House. If you're not familiar, Trump has recently put the Constitution in the White House, and it's behind this curtain here, but they replaced it with the Bitcoin white paper. So take a look at this.
And it's very cool. Isn't that great? Just went up yesterday. Wow. Think Joe Biden would do this? I don't think so. Do you think he'd think of it? Do you think he knows what it is? Wow. No, but look at it. So
great job, Kraken. Made me laugh. That was a good one there for sure. And this was an interesting post here from Luke Broyles. Howard Lutnick says, I want to make the USA $2 trillion. I own $1 billion of MicroStrategy, 200 million of Bitcoin. That will become billions. And I have authority from the president of the United States to buy Bitcoin in budget neutral fashion after we sold $5 billion in gold cards and Doge. My idea to Elon is going to cut $1 trillion from the deficit. So step number 1 is to cut $1 trillion in deficit. 2, sell hundreds of billions of dollars worth of gold. Step 3, buy $300 billion of Bitcoin. Step 4, force Bitcoin price up to 10x. Step 5, get Trump's successor elected, meaning in 2028 when the new president gets elected after that, bragging that we made the USA literally trillions in Bitcoin during the administration. Howard Lutnick has a growing probability of being the single biggest NGU contributor in Bitcoin's history, and it seems like he wants to. And he goes on, you'd have to be a complete idiot to have zero exposure to Bitcoin in the next 4 years. The direction couldn't be more clear. Pump it, Howard. And this was an interesting post as well. For those of you guys following along with the Debt Clock website, this isn't a random image. It's a hidden message about the war of the financial control spanning centuries. If you're paying attention, you'll see what's coming. Lincoln, the Civil War, and the monetary battle. And in this message, as we see here, the government should create, issue, and circulate all the currency and credits needed to satisfy the spending power of the government and the buying power of consumers. By the adoption of these principles, the taxpayers will be saved immense sums of interest. Money will cease to be a master and become the servant of humanity. Then we have the next quote here. The money power preys upon the nations in times of peace and conspires against it in times of adversity. It is more despotic than monarchy, more insolent than autocracy, and more selfish than bureaucracy. So obviously going along with the theme that we are going to be going through a financial reset, a monetary switch. When will that switch flip? And as we've been talking about and following the ETF on Bitcoin, new Bitcoin demand is surging, reaching levels last seen after the FTX collapse when the market hit its bottom. Since February 23rd, new investors have acquired 172,000 Bitcoin. Also bullish for crypto, CCP Media just published an article saying Bitcoin has investment value, and we know what's coming next. And one of the things that a lot of people continue to talk about with the XRP community is running out, a supply shortage. So breaking XRP escrow could be fully exhausted within months, says sources close to Ripple. Schwartz has warned that demand will decide. Is retail about to be priced out? And in one of the craziest stories in all of the internet over the last couple of days was Watcher Guru, who is a major player account on X, tweeted this out. Swift nearing agreement with Ripple to use XRP for cross-border payments with billions of XRP secured in escrow as liquidity. and reserves and immediately deleted it. And that coincides with the timing from Swift, where it says how we're enabling a seamless payments experience for corporates around the globe, which was March 20th. So was that an accidental leak? Well, if you've been following the story, Wacho Guru said that their account was hacked and blah, blah, blah. But the timing seems super suspicious. So over the next week, we could see something major be coming to fruition. And in some really positive news, Ripple RLUSD is starting to gain massive traction, $160 million in supply and rising on the ETH network. Momentum is building fast, XRP RLUSD. And as we saw in the very beginning, the intro, tokenization of bonds and stocks, real world assets is next. It will democratize more finance. And in correlation with the information about Howard Lutnick, we also have here the US government has already sold 1,000 gold cards in a single day for $5 million each. Some of this money could be going to buy Bitcoin for the strategic reserve.
Hey, bull runners, check this out. If you want to learn how to find the next 10x, 50x, or even 100x altcoin in this video, listen to this. Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and is currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers.
So let's talk about this good news for Ripple and Cardano. For XRP, the indicator, which we're going to be talking about, which is the TD sequential, has flashed a buy signal on the 4-hour chart, which could suggest the start of a short-term rebound. XRP just flashed the TD sequential buy signal on the 4-hour chart, and this could be the start of a short-term rebound. Ripple's cross-border token experienced a sharp and brief uptick earlier this week when the company's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, announced a victory in legal case against the SEC. XRP went from 230 to 260 within the hour, but failed to keep the momentum up and retraced back to under 240. XRP and ADA have been linked on numerous occasions in the past several months. US President Trump mentioned them both alongside Sol, ETH, and BTC in regarding the strategic crypto reserve. Additionally, Charles Hoskinson and Ripple execs have been exchanging kind words since the US elections, hinting on multiple occasions about a potential collaboration between the two parties. However, nothing official has been made public yet. And going into a little more detail on this TD sequential indicator, it's a technical tool used to identify trend exhaustion and potential reversals on financial markets, including cryptocurrency. It helps traders anticipate shifts in momentum by analyzing price patterns and sequential counts, signaling when an asset may be overbought or oversold. And as you can see right here on the Ali charts, she's got the up arrow for the buy signal on the 4-hour charts here. When will XRP break out? Well, XRP is currently facing a critical test that its price is being squeezed against the 50-day exponential moving average, a key resistance level that has proven difficult to overcome. Currently trading around $2.36, the asset's inability to break through this barrier could determine its next significant move. bulls have struggled to sustain momentum and bears are looking to capitalize on the rejection to push prices lower. If XRP fails to break above 250, a downward move will become more likely. On the downside, $2.30 serves as a crucial support level. If selling pressure increases and the level is broken, XRP could decline further towards the next significant level of $2.11. Historically, the 200 EMA has acted as a strong dynamic support, making a retest of this level possible in the current trend weakens. However, to the upside, if XRP manages to break the 50 EMA and consolidate above 250, it could trigger a bullish breakout. In the case, the next target would be 270 and a psychological level of $3. And if you've been following along with my personal charting and going through this as well, I do agree with this, but I do like to go and look at what other analysts are saying and bring that to you so you can see what other people have as far as their process when they look at the charts. And as you all know, when we look at the charts, the way I do it, I use a little different strategy. I use what's called spider lines that I learned from Crypto Face on YouTube. And it's a system that has worked very well as far as finding supports and resistance. Right now, we are working off of the weekly candles during the drop of 2018, and we're using the pivot point of April 2021 when we had that highest weekly candle at that time. And then what happens when you draw a tool called the ray, which gives you 2 points of interest, 1 point, the starting point, the second point, the middle point. And we're using this as the middle point of all of our trends, and it goes into the future and it gives you supports and resistance. And if we take a look on the daily charts and we take a look at how accurate this has been, and these are predicted from the point from 2021. I didn't draw these any different, right? So here's the point, 2021, and it follows this to the future. And this is exactly where price was said to potentially be going for a support and a resistance. And sure enough, it got there. Then the next level was here. Then the next level was here, and so on and so forth. And as you can see right now, what we were talking about several days ago was the $1.90 being a support. And sure enough, it bounced. Now we do have support here at the 223, right? So we broke through, came back, retested off this level, tried to penetrate and break through the 250, unfortunately failed. But now over the next couple of days, if we can gain support, like the article said right here, the red line is our 50-day exponential moving average. If we can climb above that and have a candle close on the green, right? So the one thing that you'll notice is as price breaks through with this green candle, it doesn't have a continuation green candle. And unfortunately, that move fails. So we failed to the downside. What we need to see is a push to the upside, a solid green candle, and also a continuation green candle like we saw here, the bounce, the continuation. And this is a perfect example, in fact, and moved up and broke the body of this candle, broke through this candle right here, broke through the resistance level. The next day, it penetrated through and claimed it as a support level right on that spot. It even retested again the next day, and it's even retested again in the future. So now we can call this a really strong support level, and we're running into this resistance. And in fact, it's a double resistance, unfortunately, because if we take a look back in history, we had this supporting line from our symmetrical triangle that was created starting from November 30th, having a touch point here on December 10th, having another touch point on December 19th as the bottom support line of that triangle. In fact, if we draw a ray from the top of that triangle and its touch points there, you can see the symmetrical triangle pattern here. And what is interesting, the symmetrical triangle pattern, the way this plays out is if you draw a line from the topmost part of that to the support level, that gives you a range that you can use after the potential breakout. So if we go to where our breakout happens, so there's a breakout retest, and we put our line here, you can see price essentially got right to there. So that move did play out. Now there is still a much larger move that could also play out for us, which if we go from here to here, so we have the flagpole and this is the flag. So there is also a bull flag that could play out. And ultimately, that would get us up into the levels of $4.88. And coincidentally, there is one of our resistance levels in the future coming from a spider line. So anyway, that's how those work. So the bottom of this support line on the symmetrical triangle is now acting as a resistance. We do need to break through that, then break through the 250, claim this as a support. Our next move up, we can get back into the $2.80 range, which as we take a look here, it has been a resistance there, a resistance here, a resistance here even. Some other correlations going on right now. Down here in our long-term momentum waves, which we use currently is called the wolf pack. Our wolf pack is below the zero line, indicating that we are in a bearish posture on the daily at this point. Now we got extremely close to breaking through that level and getting back above that line. Last time we broke above that line was right here, before we lost it, obviously. Last time we broke above it was the beginning of November, and that was the start of our run. So now we've come down. We've had a little cooling off. There was a reset. And once we break back above this level with some volume, we can see the run there. That's our long-term momentum, still showing bearish. Once we get that flip back to green, we can be more bullish on the daily. But for right now, we're not there. Also, an indicator that we've been following along with is our short-term momentum, which is called the shaft trend cycle. The shaft trend cycle has now reached the peak at 100. So one of two things is going to happen here. We do have some negative price action, meaning the last 3 days with today's candle could end up red, and we could end up falling back down, and we would have a short-term trend cycle reset down to the bottom or the zero level. With the momentum being below the zero line on the wolf pack, that could end up suffering pretty dramatically, like we saw last time here. It reset at 100 and had a pullback. And like we saw right here, it reset at 100 and had a pullback, all while in the red zone on the wolf pack. Now, one thing that could come into play and really save us here is the fact that our 3-day candles are still very bullish. Now, our shaft trend cycle, as you can see, was heading down to the bottom, reset, and made its move to the upside. And we had 3 consecutive candles to the upside. This current candle being down ends in 2 hours and 45 minutes. So we will know on our next candle, if it can be green and we move back to the upside, then what we would be seeing here is just a little retest off this yellow line, which is the 30 exponential moving average. And we've got our long-term momentum still in the green, basically resetting at 0, and it would have a very nice ability to continue its move to the upside. The thing that has me the most bullish, though, is our weekly time frame. Our weekly time frame short-term momentum cycle has reset at 0. Our wolf pack is still in bullish posture. We have 2 consecutive green candles in a row. We have 1 day and 3 hours left for this candle to close green. And if we can start to make our move to the upside on our shaft trend cycle, because it's showing momentum moving back to the upside, as we see last time, the trend cycle set to 0 and made its move to the upside was the beginning of November when we had our massive run to the upside. There are some interesting things going on worldwide in the news, politics, and so on that can line up with this being a potential real move. So if fundamentally that news starts to come out and it's very positive, for example, we just sold 1,000 gold cards for $5 million each. That money can go to help paying the debt down, potentially buying some Bitcoin. Governments get involved. China just announced that they potentially getting involved. If the war in Russia and Ukraine can come to an end, if the war in Israel and Gaza comes to an end, I mean, all of these potential positive news momentum indicators could make us move to the upside. Because you've got to understand right now, that news is very negative, right? Everything we've come out with since Trump was elected, November, we shot up. It was awesome, euphoric. It's amazing. Trump gets elected in January. Boom, everyone starts dropping as much. The deep state comes out and really tries to take him down, starting wars, all of this. But yet we've still maintained trading sideways. So we haven't had this crazy crash down to $1 or anything like that on XRP. And similarly on Bitcoin, it did have a more heavier drop to the downside, but it came down to a 50 exponential moving average, literally tested right off that level and has been making its move to the upside. Its shaft trend cycle set, ready to rock to the upside. Its long-term momentum wolf pack already still in the positive. And if we take a look here, like we saw on XRP on the 3-day, the Wolfpack indicator came very close to the zero line here, and then it made its move to the upside. Shaft trend cycle, boom, made its move to the upside. And this is weekly timeframes. This takes a very long time to unfold. But we got 2 consecutive green candles, not much volume, but under extreme circumstances of the world's coming to an end on every news channel every night. So continue to watch this on Bitcoin as well. Break above the 30 exponential moving average, which is the yellow. Then the real sauce here is when Bitcoin breaks back above the 10 exponential moving average and claims that as a support. As you can see, the whole time Bitcoin broke above the 10 and rode that as a support. That's when we made our all-time run all the way up to its all-time high before losing that. Just in reality, we dipped down below. You could say we officially lost it the week of February 24th, and we've been below it ever since. So we need to claim the 30. We bounced off the 50, claim the 30, claim the 10, and then let's make our move back up. And in fact, let's take a look at this here. So if we run the Fibonacci and the Fibonacci makes a full move back to the upside, we're looking at $132,000 as extension 1, 168 extension 2, 203 extension 3, 225 extension 4. Let's take a look at XRP. If we go to the highest point, most recent pullback. And interesting right here on the Fibonacci, it didn't even break below the 236. It had wicks, but the body's maintained. Right now we're breaking off the 382. You can see we actually rejected right off the 0.50. But where could XRP be going? Well, if we get back above previous all-time highs, $3.40, our first extension here is at $4.40. Second extension is at $6.03. Third extension, $7.67. Fourth extension, $8.67.
April 15th, 2025. This is a huge date because it's the deadline for 2 high-paying tax credits that you probably haven't heard about, but you can still get if you take action right now. We've partnered with the relief consultants who are experts in the tax code who've recovered over $100 million for their clients so far. So if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, listen up so we can get you help and reach our goal of recovering $10 million for the Bull Runners community before the April 15th deadline. So here's how it works. If you're a business owner who had employees in 2021, then you qualify for an average $150,000 check from the Treasury and possibly more with the Employee Retention Credit Program. So if you were told in the past that you don't qualify, get a second opinion now through the link in the description below this video, because there are rules and regulations that have changed just recently. So there's a high likelihood that you do qualify now. And if you sold your business or you shut it down, you still qualify as long as you were active in 2021. So don't miss out. Schedule an appointment with the link below. Just click business owner with employees if it applies to you. There's also a second tax credit that also ends April 15th. So this is for the bull runners who are self-employed in 2021. So if you were a 1099, not W-2, and self-employment was your primary income, the Treasury check for this tax credit can go up to $32,220 with an average of $17,000. So if you were self-employed in 2021 and want to see if you haven't claimed this credit, which nobody has from our community thus far for some strange reason. We've been talking about this in several videos. I don't know, man. Maybe you just want the Treasury to keep your money. But if you want to get money back in your pocket, then schedule a consultation. Don't be lazy. Do this right now before April 15th through the link below. Just click self-employed if you think you qualify for both credits. Let the rep know on the call. And by the way, if you have your tax returns from 2020 and 2021 for this credit, it will be a faster turnaround for you. So have them ready on your call, and they can literally tell you if you qualify on your first call to get you paid. So if you need more money back in your pocket for this bull run, take action right now, click the link, and let's get you paid.